David Goggins opens Never Finished with a reality most people try to avoid. The mind is designed to protect you from discomfort, not to help you grow. The voice that tells you to stop, rest, quit, or choose the easier path isn't weakness, it's biology. But growth begins the moment you stop obeying that voice. Unlike his earlier work, this book is not a story of transformation from a broken past into strength. It is a continuation, a declaration that discipline, once built, must be sharpened every day or it dulls. Goggins makes it clear from the start, success is not a destination. The moment you believe you've arrived, you begin to decay. He introduces the central theme of the book, the idea that comfort is the most dangerous addiction of all. After achieving what many would call extraordinary success, Goggins noticed something unsettling, the temptation to relax, to coast, to accept praise as permission to slow down. He describes how even elite performers fall into this trap, believing that previous suffering has earned them rest. In reality, comfort quietly erodes the edge that made them strong. One of the most powerful ideas in the book is the concept of mental unshackling. Goggins explains that most limits are self-imposed agreements we've made with our pain threshold. We believe we're done because we've never gone further before. To illustrate this, he recounts moments from ultra-endurance races where his body was breaking down, yet his mind found deeper reserves once he refused to negotiate with discomfort. The lesson is brutal and clear. Your perceived limits are not real, they are untested. Throughout the book, Goggins emphasizes the importance of daily self-confrontation. He describes how discipline is built by facing the truth about who you are today, not who you wish you were. This often means confronting laziness, fear, ego, and entitlement. He shares how he constantly audits his own effort, asking himself whether he truly gave everything or merely did what felt acceptable. Growth, he argues, requires radical honesty. Another recurring theme is the war between the mind you have and the mind you need. The comfortable mind seeks validation, shortcuts, and balance. The disciplined mind seeks challenge, discomfort, and responsibility. Goggins describes this war as endless, not something you win once, but something you fight every day. He gives examples of people who achieve success only to collapse later because they stopped fighting this internal battle. The book also explores the idea of callousing the mind, deliberately exposing yourself to difficulty to build resilience. Goggins compares mental toughness to physical calluses, painful at first, but essential for long-term strength. He shares stories of deliberately choosing hardship, brutal workouts, difficult schedules, mental challenges, not to punish himself, but to expand his capacity for suffering without breaking. One of the most nuanced insights in Never Finished is Goggins' discussion of identity evolution. He warns against attaching your identity to past victories. The person who survived yesterday's battles may not be strong enough for tomorrow's challenges. Growth requires shedding old versions of yourself, even successful ones. He describes moments where he had to abandon methods that once worked because they no longer challenged him. The book also addresses ego and praise, exposing them as hidden enemies. Goggins explains how external validation can weaken discipline by shifting your focus from effort to appearance. He shares how he intentionally avoids praise and comfort because they create mental dependency. The goal, he insists, is internal respect, knowing you did the work when no one was watching. As the narrative progresses, the tone becomes increasingly philosophical. Goggins speaks about suffering not as something to be avoided, but as a teacher. Pain reveals weakness, exposes lies, and clarifies priorities. He describes moments where extreme discomfort stripped away everything superficial, leaving only truth. In these moments, the mind either breaks or sharpens. Toward the end of the book, Goggins reinforces the idea that there is no finish line. There is no version of life where the work stops, where discipline becomes optional, or where growth becomes automatic. The moment you stop pushing, you begin to regress. This is not pessimism, it is responsibility. The closing message of Never Finished is simple and uncompromising. If you want to win the war within, you must accept that the war never ends. And once you accept that truth, you become free. And that brings us to the end of today's exploration of Never Finished. Not a book of motivation, but a book of commitment. Not about feeling strong, but about becoming stronger every single day. If there's one message to carry forward, it's this: you are never done, and that's where your power lives.